Celtic have officially confirmed Luis Palma's exit this evening, and the summer clear-out has well and truly begun. Stephen Welsh is also heading out the door, with a championship club closing in fast. Cammy Devlin has spoken out about what it was actually like to be on the pitch during that title day celebration at Parkhead, and a Celtic loanee is attracting attention from abroad as his future becomes clearer. A busy evening, let's get into it. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Cammy Devlin has confirmed that none of the Hearts players were physically hurt during the pitch invasion that followed Celtic's title-clinching win at Parkhead on the final day of the season. The scenes after that game attracted widespread criticism. When the full-time whistle blew, a large number of Celtic supporters came onto the pitch while the Hearts players were still on it. Questions were raised almost immediately about the safety of those players, and the discussion around what happened after the final whistle threatened to overshadow one of the most dramatic title wins in recent memory. Devlin, speaking to Sunsport while away with the Australia squad ahead of the World Cup, addressed the situation directly. He described it as horrible and said it was not what football is about. He spoke about the sour taste it left on the end of what had been a brilliant season for Hearts, acknowledging the genuine pain of falling so close to winning the title. But the key line was clear: none of the players got hurt, and Devlin was honest enough to say so. He said, "It was horrible, to be honest. I didn't envision the last game of the season going the way it did in terms of the result and the scenes you all would have seen. That's not what football's about. They won the game and they were the champions. But just the way it all happened, the kind of last week with some of the decisions and stuff, it puts a bit of a sour taste on the ending to what was such a good season for such a special club. None of the players got hurt, but it wasn't nice, and it never is. But at the end of the day, we didn't quite get it over the line, which is something that will take a while to process." That is a measured and honest response from a player who had every right to be bitter. Pitch invasions are always a safety risk, regardless of intent, and the criticism that followed was justified. But Devlin's confirmation that no Hearts players were injured is an important piece of information, and his dignity in addressing the whole thing says a lot about the character of the player. Now for the main story, as Celtic have officially confirmed this evening that Luis Palma has left the club permanently, joining Lech Poznan on a full-time basis for a fee of around £3.5 million. Lech had already announced the deal themselves 5 days ago after activating their option to buy the Honduran winger. Celtic have now followed with their own formal confirmation on social media, officially drawing a line under a chapter that started with genuine promise but never quite delivered what was hoped for. Palma arrived from Aris in the summer of 2023 for around the same fee Celtic are now receiving. His early days under Brendan Rodgers were encouraging. He showed the pace, direct running, and ability to take on defenders that made him an exciting prospect. And in flashes, he looked like a player who could become genuinely important to the team. But consistency was always the problem. As the pressure on results at Celtic increased across a turbulent season, he fell down the pecking order and was sent out on loan to Poland. That loan proved to be the best thing that could have happened. He was a central figure in Lech's title win, performing at the level Celtic supporters always hoped he was capable of in a more settled environment. That form convinced Lech to push ahead with the permanent deal. It is a clean exit and a reasonable return on the original investment. Celtic are also still waiting to formally announce Martin O'Neill's return as manager. That confirmation has still not arrived, even as player business is already being processed in the background. In other news, Stephen Welsh is set to leave Celtic this summer, with Swansea City closing in on a deal, and the move appears to be close to being finalised. The 26-year-old spent last season on loan at Motherwell, rather than competing for a first-team place at Celtic, and his time away was well spent. He scored important goals, took on a leadership role at Fir Park, and performed consistently enough to earn genuine attention from clubs in England. According to the Daily Record, a deal has been agreed with Swansea City, with the Championship club winning the race ahead of other interested parties in England and abroad. Sky Sports journalist Anthony Joseph has also confirmed that Welsh has agreed terms on a 2-year deal with Swansea, with an option for a further year built in. Welsh still had 1 year remaining on his Celtic contract, but the club have agreed to let him terminate early as a goodwill gesture, with that release taking effect on the 30th of June. He will officially join Swansea City on the 1st of July. Welsh came through the Celtic Academy and was part of multiple title-winning squads. He never fully nailed down his place in the first team, but he gave the club honest service. His contribution to the 2025 to 2026 campaign was also quietly significant. The Motherwell side he was part of took points from both Rangers and Hearts during the run-in, helping to keep Celtic's title charge alive at a critical moment. He leaves as a domestic double-winning player, heading into the Championship for a fresh challenge he has clearly earned. In other news, Marcelo Saracchi's future is becoming clearer as a Turkish club enters the picture for the Uruguayan left-back, who spent last season on loan at Celtic from Boca Juniors. Saracchi was not a regular starter during his time at Parkhead, but he contributed when he came into the team, and his pace and energy going forward left a positive impression during the business end of the season. There had been discussion about whether Celtic might want to keep him beyond the end of the loan, but the structure of the deal makes that more complicated. There is no straightforward option to buy, meaning any permanent arrangement would require fresh negotiations with Boca Juniors. Turkish journalist Yagiz Sabunçoglu has now reported that Çorum FK are interested in the defender. Çorum are a newly promoted club in the Turkish top flight and have not historically been big spenders, so whether they can put together a deal that works for all parties remains to be seen. For Celtic, the question of left-back cover is an important one heading into next season. Kieran Tierney is the first choice when fit, but availability has been an ongoing issue throughout his career. If Celtic decide not to pursue Saracchi, they will need another option in that position before the Champions League qualifiers arrive. A player who won a league title and a Scottish Cup during his time in Glasgow and who has played in European football is an attractive proposition for clubs looking to add quality. Where Saracchi ends up may depend on whether Celtic make him a firm offer before the window opens properly. Lastly, this evening's Luis Palma announcement highlighted something worth pointing out as the summer begins to move quickly. While Celtic confirmed Palma's departure with a post on social media this evening, the club have still not put out a formal announcement confirming Martin O'Neill as permanent manager. Multiple reliable sources have reported the deal is done. Sky Sports journalist Stephen McGowan said on Friday that O'Neill had agreed to stay on a one-year deal with an option for a further 12 months. That report has not been contradicted. The structure is understood to be in place, and the coaching staff is expected to remain unchanged. But there is still no official word from the club itself. In the meantime, the summer business is moving, Palma is officially gone, Welsh is on his way out, transfer targets are being identified, Champions League qualifier opponents will be known before long, and the manager at the centre of all of that planning has not yet been formally confirmed to the people who matter most, the supporters. Celtic have had a long season of chaotic communication and late decisions. After everything the fans have been through, a clear official announcement confirming O'Neill would go a long way. It is the one piece of news that would draw a genuine line under the uncertainty of the last several months and allow everyone to move forward with clarity. It needs to come soon. That's all the latest Celtic news for today. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one. Hail, hail.